let's go now to generalize the functionality of the responses of our RESTful API. As you may realize in the previous classes, we are repeating the same line from response.json responses, and that is, of course, a very bad design. So what we are going to do now is to see how to generalize this way to return error and success response for both collections and single instances of a model. For that, we are going to create a base controller for all the related API controllers and a thread that is going to have every method for create responses in our RESTful API. Of course, every controller of our API is going to extend from now for that base controller, and that base controller is going to use that specific trait. So let's just start creating the base controller that we are going to call API controller. Let's go to the command prompt and create a controller with PHP Artisan. After this, what we are going to do is to extend for that API controller. Every one of our controllers is going to extend from this. Now, not all the controllers, for example, the authentication controllers, are not going to extend for this because they are not related directly with the API. So, in this way, we are separating our API controllers from the other controllers. So in this way, we are extending from API controller and using the definition of API controller that we have right here. Let's do the same with the other controllers. Now, at this point, we already have all our API controllers extending from a base controller. Now, let's create a trait. By default, Laravel doesn't provide a folder for the traits, and in fact, we don't have a PHP Artisan to create one. So, we just need to create a file in the regular way, and we are going to store all our traits inside a traits folder in the app folder. And the trait is going to be called API responser.php. The namespace is going to be app traits. And we have the API responser. So now the API responser is going to have a private function that receives the data to be returned and the code of that response. And as you may imagine, it is going to return the JSON response with that data and the code. Now we are going to create a function for error response that is going to be protected. This is going to receive a message and a code. And now we are going to create two new methods that are going to use this success response method in order to return a list of elements or a specific instance of one model. For now, those methods are going to be very simple, but along the classes we are going to add new sentences for those methods. So we are going to have a protected function for show all the elements. So this is going to receive a collection. And a status code that by default is going to be 200. Please remember to import the definition of collection directly from Illuminate support. And now it is going to return a success response with the data element, the collection, and the code. And similarly, we are going to implement the show one. Instead of a collection, the show one is going to receive a model and return that instance. Please remember to import the definition of model, and after this, everything should be okay. So let's continue in the next class with further details about the generalization of our API responses.